welcome back to the channel. So last night, Becca did this interview with the FBI agent, Jennifer Coffindaffer, I think is the way you say her name. And I kind of want to do a reaction to it because I think maybe my reaction was just a little bit different than everybody else's. And I just want to kind of put my opinion in here. It's nothing against Becca. I love Becca to death, but I just want to do my take on it. Let's see. I'm going to pull it in here and let's see what we got. Okay. Go ahead and
a little bit, but so you probably know I sent you one email that we were specifically covering the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a closed case, obviously. But what a lot of people don't know is that last year it came out that Gypsy Rose actually had a true illness. Do you know about this? I don't know if you do or not. So I'm just assuming you probably don't, or have you heard anything about that?
I do. Yeah, that she was actually in 1991, actually had a chromosomal issue that was diagnosed. It seemed to get buried sort of, but yes, I was aware.
Oh, okay. So when that came out, at first she really didn't acknowledge it at first, and then she did because it's in the medical records, right? And so she had no way to say no, I didn't have this. Now, when I first started looking into the case, what piqued my interest and my husband's interest, I told you he's a veteran detective, was some forensic psychologist who opined on the case and said, we're not really sure if Dee Dee did have Munchausen. So there's this controversy going on. Was she like a con woman, more not medical abuse per se, but using Gypsy to get like the Make-A-Wish trips and the habitat houses and stuff like this. And so this is kind of erupted on social media where now there's like literally tens of thousands of people who are like going, wait a minute, they're very, very upset. And then some of Gypsy's post-release behavior has now come into question, bad behavior. So do you know anything about this? Let me ask you this. What is your take? Because most people, I thought that the mom for sure had Munchausen and that she was having unnecessary treatments. Is that your take on it too?
Well, I think it is complicated in this case. And by the way, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for asking me. And again,
thank you.
I'm looking forward to our conversation about Gypsy and also seeing, everyone in chat there. It's great.
Yeah.
In terms of my initial take on this case, and I actually did not a live, I did a show on it, if you will, a video on it. Certainly I believe she was kept medically under her thumb and physically under her thumb. Obviously she could walk.
Right.
She was shaving her head.
Right.
She for sure was using different ploys to show that Gypsy had things she didn't. She claimed everything from leukemia,
right,
all sorts of things Gypsy didn't have, for, I think, financial gain.
Right.
And really, once that happened after Katrina, they were very poor, but she started doing this. I don't think she could reverse out of it. She needed Gypsy and she needed to keep Gypsy down and Gypsy sick. So I do believe that.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, I think that she has a predetermined idea, and nothing bad about Becca, but she just, I don't know if something was sent to her for her to understand this more, but I feel like she already has a predetermined idea of this case. And I just really don't think she understands it quite as, I know she doesn't understand it quite as well as we do. But it just seems like she's made her mind up and there's just not going to be any change in it. So let's continue.
That she was held to some sort of, standard of being some sort of star for what she did, because what she did was horrendous, and specifically getting Go to John to go up to be a part of this, very low IQ, about 80, 82.
Right.
He also was autistic, or had autism, I should say, but he wasn't exactly an angel, but
No.
nevertheless,
Yeah.
I guess my view is I was sickened that the disparity in how they were charged, life without the possibility of parole versus 10 years and really served 8. And then I could not understand why everybody really put her on a pedestal. I think she had 19 million followers or something like that.
9 million.
9 million, maybe it was 9.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And
okay, so here, in my opinion, she just kind of did not like being corrected by Becca. Maybe I see it wrong, but in my opinion, it just seemed like she did not like to be corrected by Becca.
And I was really shocked at that. And I think that people probably didn't truly understand the complexities of the case.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Now, part of this community, we have people that believe all types of gamuts. It runs from Dee Gypsy. Dee wasn't doing anything wrong at all. I don't take that view. My view, and in the people know in the chat, that I've always said that I've come to the conclusion, and I've been researching this for over a year, that Dee did not do anything to medically abuse Gypsy. She lied about stuff, but when I looked, I'm a former registered nurse. When I looked at the medical,
okay, guys, see, I think this is a big part, and I think if this woman was going to listen to Becca, this would be the point to where she would listen to Becca and understand, because yes, she is a former FBI agent that's seen a lot, but she's not a doctor. She's not a nurse. So you would think that she would listen to more of what Becca has to say, with Becca being a former nurse.
Medical records, I couldn't find in the records things that Gypsy had been saying were done. Like, she told Dr. Phil, I had over 30 surgeries. I could only find 4 surgeries in her medical records. And so this is kind of what took me down the rabbit hole of going, well, what's true and what's not true in this case? And then now at this point, of course, she's not going back to prison. I have some questions for you, by the way, because there's a lot of people that, with your background, well, why weren't the feds involved? Why don't we start with that?
Question.
So can you kind of like tell my audience how that works, and when does the FBI get involved with a case?
Well, the FBI has actually very limited jurisdiction. And for a case to qualify as being an FBI case, you have to do something that would make it federally in their jurisdiction, such as cross state lines.
Now listen to the way she explains this, because it looks to me like the Gypsy Rose case should have been a federal case. Because not only did she send the knife over state lines, there was still her talking on social media beyond state lines as well.
Commit a crime aboard a plane, a train, or a boat. Commit a crime on different federal lands. These types of crimes, also hate crimes, counterterrorism type crimes. So there's a big gamut, but there is no way that this crime would have fit in the jurisdiction.
Right.
And see, she's saying there's no way this would fit into an FBI case. But wait, she sent that knife in the United States mail across state lines. She spoke on social media across state lines. So this is where, when I was watching it last night, this is where I was just like, no. I mean, I just felt like there was no change in her mind. Let's continue.
I agree with that. Some people say, well, she mailed the knife over state lines, but still the jurisdiction is going to stay within that Greene County. I mean, I don't see why the FBI would.
United States Post Office. Mail fraud.
Step in just because she mailed the knife. I mean, that's right. I mean,
well, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
When you do anything over state lines, when you have conversations, all that
Conversations.
texting that they were doing,
right.
that could have made it, really it was a murder for hire.
Right.
And there's all sorts of federal nexus, I would say, that could have been taken on. But it's very unusual for the FBI to overstep the more prominent venue, which was the local venue in this case. They only really do that if they're invited to do that, or if it's really egregious. I'll give you an example. Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione crossed state lines. It was clear cut that this was a federal case, and quickly it was prosecuted federally, and then New York, of course, also prosecuted.
Right. Great example. So that's one of the questions we had. The other question is that because Dee Dee wasn't the perfect victim, she's got. Well, they kind of made Gypsy out to be a victim too. And I'm not saying that in some ways, the way she was raised and in this environment, whether you believe she was medically abused or not, there's some issues there with how they lived their lifestyle, obviously. But do you recall any other cases that you've ever worked on where you've have like not like a controversial victim, where it's hard to feel for some people, whether it's painted in the mainstream media that does anything come to mind off the top of your head?
Forward this a little
starting
bit.
with her teeth to the salivary glands to her G tube. And so there were these symptoms that were happening and doctors were treating them, and they did testing. It wasn't like Dee Dee went in there and said, so, my daughter drools a lot. I really need you to remove her salivary glands, which is kind of the story Gypsy tells, which I believed at first until I looked at the medical records. And I'm seeing the barium swallow test. I'm seeing that the doctors did their due diligence. So these were actual symptoms that they treated. So I started to go, wait a minute, so all of these symptoms are from the microdeletion and they're all warranted. There wasn't one procedure I could find that was not warranted. And that's when my husband and I really got deeply into this, because I'm like, wow, how did she get that plea deal? Did they not know this? Or it's just baffling to me, Jen, that she got that plea deal. And then looking at the text messages and her pattern of behavior before the murder, it mimicked to me. So, I mean, you're an FBI agent, there's patterns of behavior. There's patterns that criminals do. And so a lot of times we see these young women who get their boyfriend to murder the parents. There's many cases of this, that have happened. And usually it's a rebellious act, or the parents don't let her be with the boyfriend. It's something like this. And when I looked at Gypsy's case, it was following that pattern, that it wasn't so much she murdered her mother because of this so-called medical abuse. It was more that she wanted to pursue these sexual relationships. Now that's my opinion. And so, a lot of other people agree with me now based on some of the stuff we've uncovered. Now she's out of jail. So what are we going to do? I think people are upset that, or they feel duped, by the documentaries that she helped produce, that the family was very, except for the Hulu series, that one, they weren't involved with that one, but the Mommy Dead and Dearest and the Gypsy's Revenge and these other documentaries that were so prominent, her family were the ones that were giving the information to the producers. So it's kind of like slanted. It's kind of almost like propaganda pieces almost. And so I guess a lot of people, or my audience, feels that they wish that it could be corrected in the mainstream media. You know what I mean? There's some sympathy for that. Yeah, maybe Dee Dee wasn't the most perfect person, but maybe she wasn't the monster they made her out to be. I think that's the point of where we're at right now. And so there's kind of like this movement, like on TikTok and on YouTube, where people we're trying to get the word out to other people that, hey, take a second look at this case. Now, Gypsy's out, like you said, she's probably not going to murder somebody, right? I mean, she's probably not going to go out and murder somebody, but her profile, as you mentioned in the beginning, and what she can do on social media has become kind of an issue. Um, the celebrity of it and young people who have been attracted to her case. And I wanted to show you one quote from this report. There was one reporter I found that actually was commenting on this. Let me bring it up here. This part here. And I want to get your take on this. The most troubling part isn't just her fame, it's the audience she influences. Gypsy's followers include many young people who, in their desire to romanticize rebellion or trauma, may absorb the wrong lessons. The internet's glamorization of her as a misunderstood heroine risks warping the very real issues of abuse, mental health, and criminal responsibility. She is not a fictional character. Her story is not a Netflix series. It involved the violent death of a person. So I know that you've been involved in cases where you've seen some people that are suspects, or even, that are up on trial, be glamorized, and right. And so it kind of sways the public. And I feel like this is what's happened with Gypsy, that she's actually had young people contact her, Jen, and say, I know why you did it. I know why you did it. I'm feeling the same way about my mother.
Yeah, Gypsy has a lot of control. There's no doubt. She has a lot of followers. She is an influencer. There is no
Yeah.
doubt about that, really, just within days of getting out. And it was because of the way the story was publicized. And I think there is a lot of truth. I think the in the middle is probably where this story lands in terms of what her mother did. Right. I don't think she's any angel. I think it
No.
was total fraud, total manipulation.
Yes.
I do believe that, she gave her some medication sometimes so that symptoms could be duplicated.
This is one of the best parts that I want you guys to pay attention to.
Or made to look in some way. I mean, we know she was an absolute fraudster, and her pawn was Gypsy. What a terrible mother to have, to be used in that way, right? But
I just think she's looking at Dee Dee totally wrong. She's looking at Dee Dee like Dee Dee actually made Gypsy sick. And we all know that is not the truth at all. And Becca tries to get her to understand this, but she's just not grasping it. I think that she's hooked on her own beliefs and she can't have an open mind. So let's keep going.
the problem is glamorizing that, what Gypsy did. She was 23 years old. I know her education was very shallow, right? It was really just
Right.
her mother homeschooled her. I think she had a
Right.
GED.
Yeah.
So she wasn't really prepared to go out into the world. She'd been in prison. But nevertheless, the fact that anyone would glamorize murder, glamorize manipulating somebody else to commit that murder is just unbelievable. So I'm
Yeah.
glad the word is getting out to sort
Yeah.
of make the facts of the case in full come out, not one-sided.
Yeah. I want to say that for my audience that I couldn't find in the medical records where Dee Dee had done anything to induce any symptoms. And in fact, the she wasn't on a number the drugs that she was on, she wasn't on anything really that would induce any symptoms. I think also that part is part of a story. Um, Dee Dee was more lying to the charities. She wanted to lie to the charities, not so much. Yeah, she told the doctors, oh, she's got leukemia. Yeah, she's got muscular dystrophy. Yeah, she's got this. But they really weren't treating her for, there wasn't really like a lot of hospitalizations as you would.
And I think the big thing I wish Becca would have brought in is that after they found out she had that micro deletion, that there wasn't very many doctor's appointments after that. And I wish she would have brought that in as well.
I think that's what kind of blew my mind too, is like, where's all the hospitalizations? Where's all the drugs and the medication? I could not find, um, besides Valium, any, that was like the hardest narcotic. I didn't find anything else. She was on a whole bunch of inhalers and some seizure meds. And I'm like, well, okay, well, what did that induce? I couldn't find it, Jen, is what I'm saying. But I may not have all the medical records. Do you know what I mean? I may not have, true full disclosure. I probably don't have them all, but I've got over 200 pages. So what I could see, I could not find where Gypsy was put on a ton of medications. It didn't seem like Dee Dee was too. I'm reading the notes and stuff, of the doctor's notes and stuff like that. And I've read through the medical records maybe 10 times. And my,
Guys, for Dee Dee, it wasn't about hospitalization. I don't even think it was even about somebody feeling sorry for them. They wanted money, trips, and gifts. This is how they were living, was through donations. That's how, and not only that, through, the SSDI, the Social Security money. They didn't care about the actual treating of anything. It was the money, the gifts, and the trips.
impression, I guess, is that she wasn't really concerned with convincing the doctors. Gypsy had some true symptoms. It was more she needed them so she could go to the charities. You know what I mean? The keep up the ruse, so to speak. Um, yeah. So I guess that is just another part to this that I found so frustrating, is like, well, when Gypsy says my mom was giving me medication to make me ill, I'm like, but what? Well, which medication was that? I can't find it. But again, I might not have all of the medical records. So
I have a photo and I need to send it to you. It's literally a linen closet full of medication.
yeah, I have that. Yeah, I
It's
have that.
it's an
We
interesting photo
it,
because
it,
go ahead,
I'm,
sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So yeah, we've gone in close and I've listed all of those. Most of them are over the counter. Most of them are inhalers that she has, and then like lactulose, Zantac. We know exactly what's in that medicine closet. Looks like a ton of medications, and you're like, wow, what is that? Right when you first see it. But yeah, we've got crazy people in this community here. We've got them very close, and we've identified every medication in there. And so it no, there wasn't anything, like I said, besides the Valium that was prescribed to Gypsy, and then I guess the mom was on some pain medication. But besides that, I couldn't find anything like a crazy like list of meds where she was on a ton of meds. It was probably 6 inhalers, different types of inhalers, and then a lot of Zantac, lactulose, a lot of different kind of medications for the stomachs, many over the counter. And yeah, it seemed like she was stockpiling it. It was weird. It was like she's stockpiling it. Like I don't know where, I don't know why, but yeah, we know about the medicine closet. It's crazy for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting how medication, though, it has so many other effects, counter effects, right?
Yes,
You
it
take
can.
Valium, that that it can cause all these others, and then drugs interact with one another,
Hmm.
and inhalers can really cause a lot of issues, right? Because it
It
goes straight
can.
to the lungs,
Yeah.
especially if you don't need to be taking them.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Of
Jitteriness,
yes, yes.
uh,
Uh,
hyperactivity. And so, definitely not trying to diminish the fact that she wasn't on any, hard or mind altering drugs, but rather it would seem that she was taking, or at least it was disposed to her, if we believe Gypsy, a lot of different medications.
Right.
So, guys, so it all comes back to if we believe Gypsy. So I had to turn this off because I really felt like the woman that Becca had on there, she just wasn't getting it. And I don't think she wanted to get it. I know that sounds really bad, but guys, to see the rest of it, please go over to Becca Scoop's video. I'm going to actually put it down in the description box. But I love Becca Scoops. I see what she was trying to do. But for me, I just think this woman didn't, I think she had a block up, and I don't think she wanted to hear it. I mean, I do think she doesn't glamorize Gypsy, but I don't think she sees the full picture. And that's the way I felt about it. Guys, tell me if you think if you thought anything any different. I love you guys. I got to get going. I'm at work, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.